Okie doke. I'd be back. I said I'd be back. We're going to go over the topic of discipleship because it is an important one, especially post all the things that we were just talking about. And in lieu of baptism, which we discussed days prior, and that kind of resurrection type of talk, this is a very important concept to grasp, discipleship. So let's go into Luke chapter 14, 25 through 33, and see what he has to say about that. Large crowds were traveling with Jesus, and turning to them he said, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate their father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, 'This person began to build and wasn't able to finish.' Or suppose a king was about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down and consider whether he is able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he is not able, he will send delegation, while the other is still a long way off, and will ask for terms of peace. In the same way, those of you who do not give up everything you have cannot be my disciples." So Jesus is very cut and dry with this message here, and it's funny because the law given to Moses by God, one of the first things that is saying, honor your father and mother, right? But Jesus is saying here, while they can still be honored, there might be some other emotions going on, and you still have to be willing to give them up, in a way, right? You have to be willing to let go. Yes, your wife, your children, your brothers, your sisters, and even your own life. You have to be willing to just let it all go. And this is a very strong statement, but he says it because it is true, and he says it because it is fact. So there must be that intention of selflessness, not selfishness, selflessness, and in realizing that it's bigger than you, supposedly, right? Is much bigger than you. The parables that he throws in here, the first one kind of still confuses me a little bit. Suppose one wants to build a tower, but it makes sense what he's saying. I'm just trying to tie it in a little bit better. He's like, well, you have to sit down and estimate a cost. So for today's standards, it's like if you want to start a business, you have to estimate the cost of the business, or else people will mock and ridicule you. So he's saying here, you have to put your full heart into something. You have to put your full strength, your full resources, everything you have. You either need to put it towards that project, or in this case, he's saying you really need to let go of everything else you have in order to be a true disciple. Just let it go. Just let it go. And that's a tall order, right? Hence why Jesus had large crowds of hundreds to thousands of people following him physically or meeting him wherever he was, but only 12 people out of the whole lot of people were willing to be like, yes, I'm going to give up everything and follow you. And even out of those 12, there were some who doubted, and there were some who rejected. There were some who even sold Jesus in to be crucified. But that's another story for another time, right? But it's a very tall order, hence why there was only truly 12 disciples, okay? So something to wrap your head around, something to consider. It's not like we're asking everybody to be disciples in Christ because you really have to give up everything. But there are Christian denominations who are asking this from like young kids or young adults, I would say, young adults to go ahead and take on this act of discipleship. go ahead and leave your identities behind, essentially. And there is something to be said about it. I would just say it is something very difficult and something very hard to do. I'm not going to lie, it's a very difficult thing. But the reward is very, very great. That is why he's saying, you have to just let it all go now, because it won't matter in the future. It really won't matter. Anywho, let's go on to John chapter 15, verses 1 through 17. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me, as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the same vine. Neither can you bear fruits unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me, and I in you, then you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up and thrown into the fire and burned. If you remain in me, and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourself to be disciples. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. So another lengthy parable here, but pretty clear in imagery and description of what it means. Kind of like a good image and what I just said, image and depiction of this oneness that we have been discussing over the last few days. This oneness that is necessary and proper for this life that you're about to live, or that you are living. Very crucial. So yes, just a good depiction, I would say. John chapter 21, verses 15 through 19. When they had finished eating, Jesus and Simon Peter. When they had finished eating, Jesus and Simon Peter. It is asked. I put and. Okay, excuse me. When they had finished eating, Jesus asked Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, he said. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my lambs. Again Jesus said, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He answered, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus said, take care of my sheep. The third time he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the third time, do you love me? He said, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my sheep. Very truly I tell you, when you were younger, you dressed yourself and went where you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go. Jesus said this to indicate the kind of death by which Peter would glorify God. Then he said to him, follow me. So this is interesting here. Let me just check on something real quick. Yeah. So he foreshadows in this. Jesus does, because he asked Peter 3 times, do you love me? And if I'm not mistaken, Peter is the one who had denied Jesus. He's like, the rooster will crow if you deny me. He denied him like 3 times. So yes, very interesting. But that wasn't really something that he held against Peter. It was more so out of fear and anxiety that took place. And Peter is a very well-regarded saint even now, and he went on to kind of start out like early Christianity is what you would call it now. But he kind of went on to start the church and everything, but he went through a lot after the death of Jesus to kind of carry out his name. So this is why Jesus is saying, take care of my sheep, feed my lambs. He's telling him, he's making sure that he loves them, because he knows he's going to fudge it up later, but he's saying, feed my lambs, take care of my sheep, because he's going to be the one to kind of lead the churches and kind of start this whole wave. Peter is. So yes, a lot of people think Jesus like started Christianity, but he wasn't really like starting any religion. He wasn't subscribed to any religion. If anything, he was actually like Jewish or Islamic. So that's another thing. But Peter is the one that kind of started the Christian faith. So Jesus is saying, take care of them, feed my lambs, let this carry out how it's supposed to carry out. But very interesting. He's saying, when you are old, you will stretch out your hand, someone will lead you where you do not want to go. So I think he's kind of hinting at the fact, like, while you're still young and like you can still make decisions for yourself, you have autonomy, you have your health, it is good to go ahead and make these changes and these decisions for yourself before you're older and kind of just molded in like everyone else or directed like everybody else. It's good to have this autonomy and authority over your life now and make your own decisions the way that you want to make them. So, good. Yes. And Jesus said this to indicate the kind of death by which Peter would glorify God. So he's, I guess, hinting at his death, maybe even Peter's death, because I'm sure it was a brutal one. Like most of the disciples, they died also very terrible deaths. Yeah, oh my gosh. I think Peter himself was actually crucified as well. How did Peter die? Of course, this is not discussed in the Bible, but there is record of this sort of thing. Yeah, interesting. So Peter was actually also crucified. And we just talked about, in the last two topics ago, the topic of the cross, how common crucifixion was. So he was actually crucified upside down because he felt unworthy to die in the same manner as Christ. So that's really interesting and a little bit of a scary image in my mind. Interesting. Yeah. And I think it might actually be in the Bible, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out later on when we go ahead and read the whole thing chapter by chapter, word for word. Anywho, that's enough of that talk. Discipleship is a daunting task. It's a challenging task. It's not something for everybody. That's basically all I have to say about that. I will catch you. It's only 12 minutes long, so I'm going to do probably another topic after this.